That's
So
That's better.
there's a bit of construction around me, so I'm going to keep myself on mute whenever I'm not speaking.
So welcome everyone, and I have an amazing panel today here to talk about the new ways to meet. I think we had someone. There we are. So why are we talking about the new ways to meet? How to do meetings right? Well, I think I've been a facilitator and a coach for a very long time, and I've seen meetings develop and adapt. But I think that the pandemic has really brought about a real challenge for people trying to organize meetings. And so I thought it would be really good to explore that. We're leaders in this space, and I've got this amazing panel of professionals in the DEI facilitation and meetings and events space. So I've got fantastic bios for everybody, but really I'll be sort of brief. Charmaine's the head of DEI at City and Guilds and has been working in the DEI space for at least 20 years. Louise is the visionary behind the Homeworker Annual, which is a magazine and a platform dedicated to supporting individuals working from home. Viviane Vicente is the VP of Client Experience at the Cultural Intelligence Center, which really is looking at helping people develop their cultural intelligence, and perhaps we'll find out a little bit more about that. And Tania is you host amazing retreats around the world, and you've been doing it a long time, creating epiphanies. I love that. So to everybody, welcome. We keep losing Charmaine, but she's back. So what I'd invite each of you to do, if you would, is just in a sentence or so. What is your view on meetings, and the fundamental challenges are? You may need a bit more than a sentence, but Viviane, would you like to start?
Sure, I can start. Well, many views on meetings, but I believe that most people would have an expectation, even though we can predict that different expectations will come from different attendees. But I think most people value their time, and what they expect is that coming out of a meeting, they will not have the feeling that their time has been wasted, or that they could have spent that time doing something else, something of more value. So I think that this could be a framework for all of us, either planning or attending or contributing to meetings, could come in with. Am I wasting my time, or am I wasting anybody's time? I think that would be the worst outcome to any meeting. And if we work from that idea, we can make meetings more enjoyable, productive, meaningful.
Fantastic.
So that was the one sentence.
Thank you. Louise.
Yeah, hi. I think sort of talking from perhaps the remote working perspective, and the fact that a lot of our meetings are now done remotely or in a hybrid sense, there seems to be, and I'm getting this from businesses that I speak to, individuals that I speak with, this sense that we're sort of having too many meetings. It's become almost the default way now of getting work done, particularly if we're remote and not seeing people in person. It's let's have a meeting. So I feel that perhaps we're looking at, as Viviane said, making sure those meetings are really purposeful and there's a real intention behind them, but also that we are challenging the meeting perhaps a bit more. Does it need to be a meeting? Does everybody who's attending need to be there? And I think that's a big question to be asking at the moment as well.
Thank you. Tania?
I do think the economics of a meeting are very important, but the premise of a meeting is actually an exchange, a dialogue, a place where we come together to co-create, to actually merge different ideas. And that's what I don't see happening very often. I think what people are really craving is a sense of connection. I think the number of heartfelt space to be humans and to exchange. And so when we think about the purposefulness of meetings, I would also want to include outcomes like building trust, building connection, building knowledge and care for one another, which is hard to orchestrate in this somewhat more artificial kind of context.
Yeah, thank you. Charmaine? Charmaine?
Apologies, I'm having some real connection issues. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, it's working now.
Yeah, I'm having connection issues. I keep dropping in and out, so apologies in advance. But yeah, I hope you can hear me. And just to echo what everybody else has said, really, around the purpose and the value that everyone gets out of a meeting and the different needs that individuals come to those meetings with. So a lot of the clients that I tend to work with and organisations, it's focused on how do we meet the needs of everybody in that space, and then connected back to the purpose of the meeting. What outcomes, does everybody know why they're there? And then that needs...
Me also, Charmaine. You're coming over fine at the moment. So while we've got you, in case we lose you, I wondered, what are some of the challenges organizations encounter when they don't consider diversity or different cultural frames of reference when conceiving meetings and events?
And I think there's the practical aspects of it in terms of how you structure the meeting set up, whether it's face-to-face and remote, and how accessible those can be. But I think the challenges that organisations face really is about how you get everybody to contribute, people understanding why they're there, what the ask is of them, and what you want them to contribute. And we're all very different, and we learn in different ways and contribute in different ways. So it's about looking at different methods of allowing people to contribute in those spaces. And the challenges are that we tend to go for that one size fits all generically, and expect certain types of behaviours, such as everybody feeling comfortable to raise their hand in a meeting or speak up. But different people respond in different ways, response and do their thinking, or it might be after the meeting. So the challenges of how do you prepare and set up for a successful meeting, and most of the work comes probably before and after the meeting than in the meeting itself.
Thank you. Viviane, you've been agreeing a lot as Charmaine has been speaking. What are your thoughts on this?
For sure, yes. I echo everything that Charmaine was saying, and the preparation, sometimes logistic, but also a bit philosophically, how we prepare for meetings, understanding that people will come with different expectations, and making sure that everyone understands what is the purpose of each meeting. Some people will expect that a decision will be made. Some people will expect to listen only or to contribute. So making it clear what is expected of all, and also, as Charmaine said, adjusting for how each person, each attendee prefers to contribute and prefers to absorb the information. So that's about being culturally intelligent, as you know, Thom. But honestly, we know that when you have a diversity of cultural backgrounds, and even in a homogeneous group, you will find different individual preferences in terms of how people communicate, how they want to learn information, and also to express their information. So speaking of a few cultural preferences or individual preferences that may come from a cultural background, people who are more individualistic will feel more comfortable expressing their ideas and their opinions. And those on a collectivistic side might wait to hear the opinion of others. And that might be misinterpreted. People may think that they don't have an opinion of their own, and they do. They just want to understand or be respectful. In their mind, that's about being respectful in hearing what others have to say before they then express their opinion. Or those with what we call a high power distance orientation, a more hierarchical approach to leadership or to relationships, may want to hear from the leader